All right, let's go to one more check-in, and then we're gonna get to today's content. Just one more check-in. Last question. What kind of atmosphere have you been carrying lately? When you say it's a positive atmosphere that you've been carrying or lately, or how would you describe the atmosphere you've been carrying?
I'll say that I think I've been carrying an atmosphere with bitterness.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I think before my husband left, we weren't arguing or anything, but just talking, and he made a comment to me. He's like, "You're just so sarcastic," and I'm like, "No, I'm not."
Mm,
He's like, all your little digs you're taking at me. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Well, if you wouldn't have put us here, then I wouldn't be saying, whatever, just,
wow.
and of course, I'm like, after I come out of that moment, I'm like, oh man, that really was sarcastic. Man, I probably should apologize. And I didn't, just being honest,
Mm,
because I'm in a place of still dealing with healing.
mm,
And it doesn't make it right, but that's definitely been my atmosphere. It's like I've been up and down, but if I have to judge it as a whole, it's been a little bitter, little bitterness
wow.
in my
Okay.
atmosphere.
Yeah. Thank you for being honest. Anybody else? What atmosphere have you been carrying? If you could describe it in one word, light, heavy, bitter. Um,
I can go.
Go ahead.
I'd say for me, I've been in a level of resentment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as you know, I mean, my husband's um, calling. I firmly believe his calling is music. I believe that his purpose is music. I believe that is his gift. Um, but at the end of the day, that requires a lot of sacrifice, a lot of sacrifice of time, sacrifice of money, sacrifice of um, energy, focus, and what I've struggled with was feeling like we're on the back burner as
Mm,
his wife, as his children, feeling like sorry.
mm, it's okay.
Um, just his inability to recognize sometimes where when are we gonna be your focus,
Hmm.
right? But I know at the end of the day, like he has to fulfill and be obedient to what God told him to do.
Mm,
But my whole deal is like the balance of it all. You know
mm,
what I mean? Just
mm,
wanting him to understand that it just takes a little bit more effort to make this work a little more fluid
mm,
for all of us. And me as the wife, like I feel like I'm always the one juggling, the jobs and the household duties and things like that to try to make it work as smooth as possible, because obviously there's just so many variables with children, um, and what they're doing and they're calling it, you know what I mean? Like it just brings about a whole nother whole different totally different aspects.
mm,
We as women, as wives, we carry the mental loads of our children, we carry the emotional loads of our children, and um, I just feel more invested in that than he is because of his pursuit of the music and his purpose.
mm,
So that's what our main struggle has been. My main struggle has been is just trying to voice that, um and recognize where he is trying to improve that, and like taking ownership and letting something be, recognizing the improvement but letting it. I guess what I struggle with is focusing on the negative of it, like you did this but you didn't do this, or you
mm,
only did this so much.
mm.
um and that's where I have to take accountability for, with my growth.
Right.
But yeah, that's been our main struggles.
Good. So you said you would say that your atmosphere, I think you used the word resentment.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Good. Okay. Great, great, great. Um, all right. Well, let's keep on moving, you all, into tonight's session. Um, it's critical because people are it's new here that I cover with you these five pillars. And you can go back. I call it the five pillars of the irresistible woman. I know some of you are new in the group, but if you there's some content that's on the platform. If you click under classroom, you'll find Wife Class 101. You're going to find out just several lessons, video lessons are in that. Wife Class for single women, that's still good to look at, but it's specifically for single women. And I also posted a video of the last wife class I did live a couple of months ago, and I introduced the five pillars of the irresistible woman, of a woman who is irresistible. And if you watch that video, it'll walk through these five pillars. If you think of every house is built, a great house is built on pillars, right? And so this great woman, she would have five pillars that are causing her life to stand. This woman who is irresistible. And those five pillars are, I like to revisit these. I'll do it every session, is worth. And not just any worth, worth that is rooted. Her worth is grounded. She's got rooted worth. Worth is everything. Worth is everything. And these I believe are in order of importance. You begin with worth when it comes to being a woman and a wife. You've got to know your worth. If you don't know your worth, you will, um, your standards will be too low. You won't require as you should, even expect what you should. I always say when it comes to a man, he will come no higher than you require. And when you don't value yourself properly, when you do not know your worth, you'll keep your standards way too low, you know? And so worth is everything. I teach a lot on worth. As you look at the content that is in the platform, you're going to find that that's what I teach the most on is worth. Waking up to your worth. That's everything. He may forget your worth. It's easy for a man to forget your worth. In fact, the better you do your job, the easier it is for him to take you for granted. Okay? So don't get all shocked when he forgets your worth and you feel like he's just taking what you do for granted because you do it with such ease and such grace and blah, 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 blah. He just takes it for granted. He may forget your worth. The problem becomes if you forget it.
Mm.
Yeah, if you forget it, that's when the problem comes. Okay? You can never forget your worth, right? All right, so worth is the first pillar of this woman. She understands her worth as a wife and a woman and a wife. She understands her worth. Two, she has anchored confidence. She's confident. Number three, she has intentional presence. And presence is basically how you show up. That's what I talked about, the atmosphere that you carry. And then number four, influence, but not just any kind of influence. She has trusted influence. And then the last one is grace, and I like to call it wraparound grace. This woman exudes grace, not just grace toward others, but grace toward herself. She is as gracious with herself as she is with others, and she's as gracious with others as she is with herself. Grace. So those are the five pillars. I actually have an image I will drop on the school platform with those pillars, but it's worth, confidence, presence, influence, and grace. And I will be coaching around one of those or all of those or bringing attention to those every coaching session, one of those five pillars. Worth, because most of our issues are we are coming short in terms of understanding, knowing our worth, coming short in terms of confidence, coming short in terms of presence in the atmosphere that we carry, coming short in terms of influence, meaning that oftentimes instead of being the influence, women have a God-given influence. The feminine spirit has an influence. Okay. Um, when you understand the power of your influence, then you don't have to try to control everything, right? So women who are controlling have not mastered the art of influence. So we don't know how to influence as we should. Then we get into control and manipulation. And honestly, the scripture says that is witchcraft. Did you know that?
Mhm.
I've been thinking about the word witchcraft. And it's not just casting spells and potions and all this kind of stuff. It can be that. But if you look at the word witchcraft, the end of it ends in craft. I've just been thinking about this. The end of it ends in craft. And I really believe what witchcraft is, it is trying to manipulate things. It's trying to, this came to me the other day and I wrote it down. It is, you are trying to craft the outcome you want through manipulation. You're trying to control an outcome. And to get to it, you're using manipulation. You're trying to create the outcome you want through manipulation and control. And it's witchcraft. The Bible says that manipulation is of the spirit of witchcraft. It begins,
Mhm.
you're trying to craft or control outcomes, right? And so I take that very seriously and guard my heart against it, you know, to stay out of that seat of control and manipulation and stay in the seat of love and influence. Okay. And then the last one is grace. And grace is for the, I always think of grace this way. Grace is uh the ability, how can let me give you a simple way of defining my definition of grace. Grace is God's empowering, God, it's his enabling power, right? So grace is God stepping in to close gaps, if that makes any
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
God stepping in to cover our weaknesses. God, the power of God stepping in to close the gaps that we cannot close as humans because humans are frail and faulty and inconsistent and weak. We come up short in all kinds of ways all
Mhm.
time. We always have, we always will. And that is what the grace of God is for. But as humans, we have to also show that grace, not giving attention to the gaps and the faults of other people, but covering the gaps and the faults of other people with mercy. If that makes any sense. Not just for your spouse and others, but I call it wraparound grace because the same grace that you have to extend for the weaknesses and the shortcomings and the inadequacies and inconsistencies of your spouse, guess who else needs that same grace? You do. You have to learn how to show grace to yourself, not condemn yourself, not persecute yourself when you fall short. And you do, and we all do. And so I call it wraparound grace. The irresistible woman lives in wraparound grace. She shows grace, extends grace to others, but she does the same for herself because everybody, man, we all are falling short, right? We're all falling short. Everybody's just, I call it I don't even like to call it falling short. I call it everybody's on a growth trajectory. That means everybody got we just growing in some area. We hadn't arrived yet, and you're gonna be there till you die. Okay? Everybody's growing. That's why I like to think of it. I'm still growing in some areas. My husband's still growing in some areas, right? My children are still growing in some areas. And because of that, I must extend grace to myself and to others and be patient with the process of growth. Okay? All right. So those are the five pillars. I just want to revisit those: worth, rooted worth, confidence, anchored confidence, intentional presence. That means that you can choose how you show up. And the irresistible woman is intentional in her presence about the atmosphere that she carries. Understand that she can control that. We got way more control than we think we do. We're going to talk about that tonight. Trusted influence, and then wrap around grace. All right. So tonight I want to coach for the next few minutes. We'll just have a conversation around this. The power of your presence, and that's presence. That is one of the pillars that I just felt like I wanted to focus in and lean in on tonight. Is presence, the power of your presence. And presence, I like to say, is how you show up, how you're showing up. Your presence is not just physical, right? It's not just saying show the way I show up, like physically. It's not just physical, and it's not just the way you show up in terms of what you choose to wear or adorn yourself and all that outer stuff, although that does communicate as well. That is a part of presence. That's very important. But it's not just physical, it's emotional. What is your emotional state? It is spiritual, it's relational, it's energetic. It's really energetic. Let me let you in on this. Did you know that the thoughts that you think, did you know that thoughts are really energy? They literally, your thoughts, your most predominant thoughts, right? Those thoughts are energy and they can actually be measured. Your thoughts, your attitude basically is made up of your most predominant thought at any given time. People can feel it. So people say, what's wrong with you? What's up with you? You got a bad attitude. You go, I ain't got no bad attitude. Yeah, you do. You do. And I always know, when someone has a bad attitude and I sense them in a bad attitude, I always know that basically there is some ex powerful negative thought that is taking up all their mental space. Because that's really what an attitude is. Everybody can sense it, they can feel it. It is an attitude is made up of your most predominant thoughts. So when Tanisha said that she felt like her atmosphere that she was carrying right now was bitterness, I pretty much, could dive deeper in that. And perhaps, your thoughts are camped out in some place, perhaps in the past, that created pain for you. And you haven't healed or found a way to get past those thoughts. And that's the predominant thought that you are carrying when it comes to your marriage or your relationship. And as a result, that's the atmosphere that you carry. Maybe not with everybody else, but when the one who comes in the pain, caused the pain, comes in the room. Does that make sense? That becomes your atmosphere because that's where your thoughts go. And that becomes the aura around you. And yes, absolutely, he can feel it because energy is always experienced. And energy can move things. Just your presence, just your energy, just your aura, which is made up of completely of your most predominant thoughts, can absolutely move the room in a beautiful direction, a peaceful direction, a pleasurable direction, a direction that invites peace and connection and all those things we love, are absolutely a, a, a direction that is not good. And all of that is from the presence that you carry. Most people don't understand you are a walking atmosphere. And that atmosphere is your predominant thoughts. So presence, I like to say it this way, is the atmosphere you carry. Your presence is the atmosphere that you carry? What do people feel when you walk into a room? Do they feel peace when you walk into the room? Do they feel strength just came into the room? Do they feel safety just came into the room? Do they feel warmth just came into the room? Or do they feel tension just came into the room? Pressure just came into the room. Criticism just came into the room. What do people feel? What do you think your spouse feels when you come into the room? Anybody like to be honest with that question?
I
I
can.
think I was gonna. Okay, you go.
No, no, no. I just went. You're good. Go ahead, sis.
I was just gonna say I think he feels nervous
Wow. Why do you think he feels nervous, Tanisha?
because I think sometimes he just doesn't know which emotion is going to show up.
Mm. Wow.
And that's just me being honest, he doesn't know if I'm going to come in like, "Hey, let's go get ice cream," or like you said, he's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Nothing." And
Mm,
he's like, "Okay." And he
mm,
knows to back up a little bit. I think he's a little timid, because he's just trying to figure out who's going to show up.
mm. And so he just feels nervous.
Mhm.
Wow. Wow. Elise.
Yeah, I can agree. Just not necessarily. Well, I wouldn't even say not necessarily knowing, but knowing that majority of the time I'm going to have something to point out.
Mm.
Negative.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That is. It's hard for me to look at to see the cup half full, if you will, in most situations. And just to be candid, it's interesting. Like I'm realizing how much I show up different in my household than how I show up outside.
Mm.
Because to the
Mm.
world outside and to my coworkers and things, I'm just this positive person. I'm just so, you know what I mean? My energy is high and I just have this great outlook on life and I'm so encouraging and so motivating. But when I think about how I show up at home,
Oh, wow.
majority of the time, it's not her.
Wow. Wow. Crystal.
Uh, yeah, I think very similarly. I think that my husband he gets nervous, but I think that my mood is pretty even keeled. I think he's nervous because I'm like a drill sergeant around here.
Mm.
So I think he's nervous because he's like, what didn't I pick up? Okay, let me make sure the kids are straight because he knows I'm going to be like, pick that up. They're not in the bath. What's going on? You know what I mean? And the drill sergeant shows up, and so I think he's more concerned about looking around to see what didn't I do because she's going to tell me, I fell short in some area. Hmm.
Mm, mm. Wow. Anybody else right there?
Yeah, I'll say ditto to all the things.
Oh.
I think I've gotten to space of now. I think the nervousness for him is probably because I'm a closed door. So I've had enough disappointment where I'm just like, I don't want to be bothered. And so I give myself timeouts to come into the house sometimes, just so I can kind of manage, the look and the conversation. So I think right now it'd be nervous because I'm a closed door.
So he, you think he feels nervous when he's around you?
Hmm.
Because when you say a closed door, he thinks you don't care anymore.
Yeah,
Wow. Do you care?
I don't know.
Mm, you don't know if you care anymore. Wow. Okay. All right. So tell me this. How would you like him to feel when you come in the room?
I would like him to feel loved.
Mm,
And now I'm not saying I treat him like he's not loved. I'm not saying that, but I think that I would like him, like I would like his heart to pitter patter when he sees me
Wow.
again. Because that's typically how it was before, the incident occurred. Um, I would like that,
mm-hmm.
you know, um, as a part of why I'm here, because I believe that I will have the tools to help me get myself to a place where I can show up um, the way I know God would want me to show up for my husband.
Yes, ma'am.
So yeah, that's what I think. I would like him to feel loved when I come in the room.
Wow. Excellent. Anybody else? How would you like for him to feel when you come in the room?
I'd like for him to feel encouraged,
Mm,
motivated, joyful, all
mm,
the good things. All the good things, right?
yeah.
Um, yeah, all the good things. And forgive, like it's very eye-opening, ladies. I do appreciate this sort of session
Mm,
um of everyone's vulnerability and honesty, because just a little background about me, like I don't have, this. I don't have anyone to talk to or relate. And I think that's why it's so hard for me right now.
yeah.
Mhm.
Because I've just been so closed for all this time
Mm-hmm.
and thinking that I was in a world of my own. Like even when I think about y'all's introductions, like, oh, I've been married this many years, I've been married, my mind just automatically thought of all the good things. Like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, they're just doing so great. And it's like, ultimately, we out here fighting,
Yeah.
you know?
ab-
um, so yeah, back to the point, I'm sorry, my little side rants is just definitely wanting him to feel supported, loved, encouraged and motivated by my presence.
Yeah. Excellent. Do you think he needs that, Elise?
I know he does.
No, he does. Yeah.
I know he does. I honestly, in listening to your courses, the course, um, one of the main things, just going back to when you talked about the 10 commandments of an irresistible wife,
Mhm.
was was number two, where you talked about knowing and remembering our power
Yeah.
in our husband's life, is recognizing that, you know, the two become one for a reason.
Yes,
There's
ma'am.
there's there's something missing, like for us to help interject and intercede um, for them and their growth.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. No voice is more powerful in your spouse's life than your voice, unless you give up that power, unless you give it up, unless you withhold it, right? And then some other woman's voice
Mhm.
becomes that influence and that power in his life. And it can only happen if you withhold yours.
Hmm.
I promise you, if you don't ever withhold your voice, your no other one, anyway, trust me, after 32 years. And my husband's surrounded by women all the time. He's a pastor. Our churches, we got a lot of men in our church. We don't have just a predominantly just women. We got a
Mhm.
great presence of men in our church because my husband just is a man's man. He attracts men. But he's a with women giving him accolades all the time. Pastor, 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 pastor. I've been living with that for 30 years. And I'm just being honest with you guys.
Mhm.
You'll find me, I'm brutal. I'm sometimes probably too transparent. So I go, okay, I probably said too much of my business, right? But if it'll help somebody, but I'm just saying to tell you, I'm not lying. I'm not
Mhm.
exaggerating when I'm about to make this statement. I have not one woman in all these years of pastoring have I ever felt any sense of insecurity that she could take my man. I've never felt it. I've never
Mhm.
felt that. And I know a lot of pastors' wives deal with that stuff. That just hasn't been my case. It could be, but I don't know how or where I learned it from. But nobody is, I will not let anybody out encourage me, out pray me, out support me, out love me when it comes to my man.
I know that's right.
Giving that encouragement, that support, that love when I have been angry, when I have been bitter, when I have been resentful, when I have been all the things, you know, because I feel all kinds of things as a wife. I've been in this space for 32 years. When I have, suffered from benign neglect, you talk about the bottom end of the totem pole. I used to get mad when people would call me first lady. I literally would get mad. I hated that term, first lady. And I hated that term, first lady, because I felt like the last lady,
Mm.
right? I felt like I was the last one to get any time, any attention, any affection, anything. He show up for everybody else, Mr. Great Guy, whatever. Then he come home. Now, I've never been abused in any shape, form, or fashion, but it was just always just kind of just too tired to deal with me. So I got the scraps. I don't now. We're in a totally different season. I've earned my route, right to the space I enjoy now. But but through all of that, I had enough sense to know somehow or another what my job was in his life. And so I never gave up that seat of power.
Mm.
I never gave up my seat. That's what I call it, my seat. I may have said it in Wife Class 101. Stay in your seat. And me and my bestie, I may have her in here because we keep each other sharp when it comes to being a wife because we've just always taken our roles very seriously. We've always been, we both have been married to public figures and those kinds of things, understanding men like ours in high demand. And so we just have always shored each other up when it came to staying in your seat, girlfriend. And so we got this thing where say, girl, just stay in your seat. Be in your seat if you're mad, be in your seat if don't matter what attitude I've got. I'm gonna be in my seat. In my
Mhm.
case, every Sunday, wherever a wife was expected to be, I was expected to be, I was in that seat doing what I was supposed to do, how I was supposed to be doing it. I kind of saw it as a job. That makes sense? I was in my
Okay.
seat because I had enough sense to know if I got out of my seat of power in his life, some other some other feminine spirit was going to slide its way into it. And in my case, they're watching Sunday after Sunday after Sunday.
Mhm.
Oh, they're looking to see if I'm going to be in my seat. I'm not talking about just in my seat in the church, but if in my
Yeah.
support. It's all energy. Everybody can tell it, right? And so for that reason, I really believe that I've, you know, have never felt threatened in that way because I knew I was in my seat and I knew the power. But no, I just wasn't gonna let any other woman outdo me in that area. And I rarely even think about it now. Now it's just like drinking water. It's just a habit now. It's just what I do. But I remember starting out that way very intentionally. And it works. And I've had many women uh, tell me that it works for them too. They just stay in their seat. Just stay in your seat. Right? Emotions come and go. All these feelings are part of growth. We're evolving, going into new seasons of life, needing different things from our spouses. Right? That's all emotional growth stuff. But stay in your seat of power in his life. Don't let those emotions move you out of your seat. Does that make sense, what I'm saying to you, ladies? Oh,
Mhm.
that makes sense. Okay. Um, all right. We're talking about how you want him to feel when you walk in the room. What is the atmosphere you want to carry? So how do you want him to feel when you walk in the room? Anybody else want to share that? Not what he currently may feel, but let's go to let's visioneer a little bit. What do we want it to be like?
I want him to feel confident.
Mm,
Um, and That has been challenging only because I think back to my biggest concern with the relationship with his mother. I think he doesn't feel confident that he can do hard things on his own because mom has always swooped in. Mom and grandmother have always used to swoop in and take care of everything, even when we were apart. And I say this with a low voice, making sure nobody's going to pass my door. Even when we were divorced, and he was in his mid 40s, he's 49 now, so he's in his mid 40s during that time. Mom was doing his laundry for him, carrying it up the steps to his apartment and making sure and picking him up from work if his car wasn't working. It's just like, so I don't feel that he's confident, not because I don't instill confidence in him, but the frustration comes when I'm like, you can do this. You can do this, but in his mind, it's almost as if he falls apart when things are handed to him in the home. He is able to manage he's a director at the hospital. He can manage his job, but I think that because he has a team and all he has to kind of do is monitor them. At home, it's different because he's so out of sorts. This isn't career. This isn't, Mr. Robinson, the guy. This is home. So this is kids and this is a wife and this is truth. And it's a lot of truth and accountability that I think that he tends to collapse under. And so if I right now, I'm here in this call, he's out with the children. If the house is not managed and the children are still running around and all these things are going on, it's not because he can't or he doesn't know what to do. It's just that he tends to fold. And I'm like, I want you to be confident enough that if I am in a space and I need a minute, or if you are handed a task, you can do this. And me being in a negative space or me needing a moment doesn't mean that I hate your guts. It just means I need a moment. Nobody's going to jump down your throat. Nobody's going to do any of that. Just be a confident person that everything's okay and we're going to get past this moment, or that you can handle it. Don't be so scared feeling like you're going to walk on eggshells because I don't yell at you. I don't call you names. I'm not, don't be so scared about disappointment. Be okay with, I gave it my best. Sweetheart, you okay? You know what I mean? And just being more confident would mean a lot to me.
Right. So you want your presence to make him feel confident.
I do.
And okay, so that's what we'll get to the homework, right? But the
Mhm.
question becomes, how can you do that? Like, how can your presence make him feel confident?
Mhm.
You see, that becomes
Mhm.
that's because that's how maybe right now you feel like your presence make when he walk into the room, he may feel pressure or he may feel like uh, 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 criticism or whatever it is, your presence. You may feel like your presence is carrying how you think he may feel when you walk in the room, but you said how you want him to feel
Mhm.
confident. Like, he can do this. He's capable, right? When you come in the room, he feels like, whew, there's my confidence. I can do this, right? The question becomes, how do you carry that atmosphere with you? That it makes him feel confident. It makes him feel capable, not incapable, but capable. It makes him feel strong. It makes him feel, I got this. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like when my husband is sitting in the audience, it completely boosts my confidence. When my husband's in the room, I got to do something. I got to speak or whatever. If Dexter Howard is with me, I don't even know how it works. I don't even know why, but I feel like I'm going to be okay. Right. Because I know one person's in the audience, 1000%'s got my back. Even if I mess up, he's going to cheer for me. Right. It makes me feel confident. How can you carry that atmosphere around you that when you come in his presence, he feels like I got this. Let's see, everything's going to be all right. She's in the room. Does that make sense? That's how you saying you want him to feel.
Mhm. Correct. Mhm.
Okay, great. All right, you guys, let's talk about this. Presence is built through intention. We talked about the woman, the irresistible woman. She has, everybody has presence. Everybody has an atmosphere they're carrying around them. The irresistible woman, hers is intentional. She's choosing her atmosphere. She's choosing the atmosphere that she carries into the room. Now, you can use this for anything, any place you go. Elise said, she talks about the dichotomy of the atmosphere that she carries when she's at work, right? And people think she's so positive. And you are. It's not they think you're positive. You are positive. Clearly, I can see you're a motivator because you use that word a lot. You're a motivator. You're positive, you're optimistic, or whatever when you go to work. And it's probably because you don't have a whole bunch of negative thoughts about work. But as soon as you come home, the atmosphere around you changes. It's probably because you got some negative thoughts encamped around the home experience or the relationship experience, right? So then the atmosphere shifts when it's time to come home. It's all most everything, y'all, at the end of the day is thoughts, it's mindset. I'll be honest with you. We can never be underestimated, the power of your thoughts. They cannot be underestimated. They cannot be underestimated. All right. So, but the irresistible woman, she's building her presence with intention. With intention. So let's talk about some practical things that you can do starting tonight, tomorrow, whenever, that you can shift the way you're showing up, shift your atmosphere, that you can shift what specifically your spouse, since we're talking about marriage, but you could use the same thing with your kids. I could ask you, what do you think your kids experience when you walk in the room? You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's got an experience with you. We're one big ball of energy, and everybody is experiencing you at all times. Everybody is, right? Okay. But we're speaking about your spouse. What are some things that you can do intentionally to shift the atmosphere that you're carrying? What do you think?
I'll get mine out of the way. I think right when you were saying what you were saying is just compliment him more. I compliment him, but I think I could do a good job about complimenting him more. And I know that for him, words of affirmation go a long way. So just finding the things that he did do right
There you
and just stay right there.
stay right there.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, stay right there. And we think sometimes, because I've lived through this, we think we're doing them, we think we're changing something in them when we do that, right? For the positive. But let me tell you what you're doing was more powerful than that. When you focus on what he's doing right, you're going to change something in you.
That's good.
You're going to begin seeing, because whatever you focus on, it expands, it grows. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if you're focusing on what they're doing wrong all the time, their gaps all the time, what they still not doing, still not doing, still not doing, still not doing, you're gonna find yourself that things that's all you're gonna be able to focus on. It will begin to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. But if you can, with intention, begin finding, I always say, find them doing something right, right? And focusing on that, it will begin to grow and grow and grow. It won't just change them and boost them. I'm telling you, it can rewire your brain
Yeah.
when it comes to your spouse. I know because I have practiced this. I'm telling you, I have practiced this. I'm going to just insert this. I say so much and teach so much. I don't know who I said what to, but I was telling someone I found myself shortly ago. It's been since we've been in this new house, and it's just been mostly, mainly me and my husband here most of the time. And I found myself one day, and I don't even know what he was doing, but I found myself just watching him and admiring what he was doing. I was literally admiring his masculinity, something that I would have criticized in the past because the masculine energy and the feminine energy are so different. We do stuff so differently. We are so it's the masculinity versus femininity. They are wired so differently than we are. And so I used to look at the way he did things, and I just thought it was strange. It was slow. It was this. It was that. If I got enough sense not to criticize it out loud, but in my brain, I would be criticizing it. It was like a deficit to me, right? But then at some point, and I've been on this personal growth journey with myself, Jeanette, for a long time now. And so a lot has grown and changed in me. But where I found myself that particular day, and I noticed it, that I found myself sitting back watching something. It was something in this house that he was doing that I would have quietly criticized. I found myself admiring it, the way he was doing it, kind of chuckling at it,
Mhm.
you know, but it was with admiration and not criticism. Because although it was different than how I do it, totally different, most of the things we do totally differently, but it was getting the job done. And I was admiring, I remember thinking the thought of admiring his masculinity, of how man he is, and how different it is than me, but it's good. And I just remember this flood of positive thought and I mean, I'm tearing up because I remember the moment, this flood of positive thought and gratitude for a man in the house. I just remember it. But I also remember a few years prior to that, where that would have been a flood of criticism that I got enough sense not to say, but it was probably creating an atmosphere around me that he could pick up on anyway. And because people pick up on all kinds of stuff, right? But that was work I had done on myself over all the years, right? That's just all me controlling me, self-mastery. I'm still working on things, but that was just some self-control, self-mastery that I gained over the years. And so it works, and then it changes the whole atmosphere in the home, right? Okay, so focus on what he's doing right, find it, and you're gonna find it. I heard you say it, Elise, when you first said you talked about you do see him making some improvements. Maybe not enough yet. Maybe it's not where you want to be yet, but you do see him trying. You do see some effort. You do see some intention on his part. Mm. What if you said thank you for that? What if you gave him a hug and said, I see you doing that. I really thank you. What if you told him the difference that makes? How that makes you feel, not when something negative happens, how it makes you feel, because we quick to do that. But what if you chose to, when you see when he does something that is good and it makes you feel something good? What if you called attention to that? Mm. What is rewarded is repeated. That I know for sure. What's rewarded is repeated, right? They can train a dog that way. We can train our spouses.
No, amen.
True. What's rewarded? We can train our children that way. We can train everybody that way. When you reward it, right? What's rewarded is repeated. We'll just keep, it's the reward circuit of the brain. We'll just keep doing it, right? So
what positive reinforcement?
yeah, positive reinforcement. And these things, this is not out of trying to manipulate, but this is just creating an environment of love that cultivates growth. See, these things cultivate growth. An environment of love that cultivates growth. It's different when if you just, trying to, doing something because you want something. You're only nice, you
Mhm.
say something positive when you want something. That's control and manipulation. But but love, right, just creates an environment that encourages growth. And I really believe that's our job, as women, as a feminine spirit. I think that's our assignment. And sometimes, yeah, we feel like we get the short end of the stick. But that is the point of the feminine spirit. It's what we do. We do it for our children, right? I hope we do. If you're a decent mom, you
Oh
do,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Well, that same growth and maturation and all that we're creating this environment where our children can thrive and grow and all that. Guess what? Your spouse needs that same environment.
Pastor Jeanette, where have you been? I've been married 27 years and I'm just connecting with you now. Where have you been?
On the backside of the desert, figured all this out.
I was
Oh
thinking
my
the same thing
God.
because I was just like, as you're talking, I'm
Figured
like,
all this out.
yeah, and I'm just like flashbacks of even today, like where you were saying, speak on the thing that he did good and how it made you feel.
Mm,
And because it was like, I can remember all the times where something impacted me negatively. I talk about how that made me feel, but I
Mm.
can't think of a moment where something impacted me positively and I've communicated how it made me feel. That's
mm.
definitely one thing that I'm going to take away to make sure I'm intentional about doing that this week.
Ooh, it's gonna make he might start crying.
I'll say when you mentioned how you saw your husband, Pastor Dexter, doing something that you would have typically criticized and you didn't, the
Mhm.
Lord brought back to me right before my husband left. He was cleaning the bathroom, and he don't clean the bathroom like I clean the bathroom. Let's be
Wow.
crystal clear, okay? And he was so proud, y'all. My sweet husband, I thought he was gonna pass out from all the chemical smell. He had no windows open. He was in there doing the best he could.
Yes,
And in the past, I would have been like, "What are you doing? Well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that," but I didn't. I walked in the bathroom and he was like, "You see, I cleaned the bathroom." He's like, "You think I did a good job?" I said, "You did an excellent job." He hadn't even swept the floor, nothing. He just done cleaned the counters and cleaned the tub. But I was grateful.
yeah.
And that's something in the past he would have never done. He have always felt like, I'm the wife, you take care of that. I do the other things. So
Mhm.
the fact that he did that, I knew I had to encourage him and tell him, thank you. You did a great job. Instead of saying, like, you didn't even sweep the floor and you didn't even,
Oh my.
like, how long you gonna let the toilet marinate? We got a brush. Like, I didn't do any of that.
That's
I just encouraged him. I gave him a big hug and a kiss and I moved on. But in the past, I would
yeah,
have
that's
complained.
growth.
I would
That's
have absolutely had a field day on that bathroom. Yeah.
yeah. Wow. Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. Wow. See, these are all the atmosphere you carry,
Hmm.
how you show up. This is I think I made a post the other day or something, some reel, and I said something about the reason why I really believe my marriage was difficult in the past and why probably most people's marriages are difficult. So at the subconscious level, is because you're trying to control the uncontrollable. And that is the other person. And we have no control over the other people. In fact, the Bible says that when we do try to control other people, that's called witchcraft. That is, you are out of bounds. You are out of bounds when you are trying to control other people. You can try, but the truth be told, no real woman wants a man they can control. You know you don't.
Hmm.
And I'm just be real with it. It's called a punk.
Hmm.
To be honest with you.
No, for real. I don't
And
want a
no
soft back
real
man.
woman wants a
Mm-mm.
punk. And so while
Mm-mm.
you want to control him, you really don't want to control him.
Mm-mm.
You don't really want to control him. You want to control outcome. You want a certain outcome.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to act a certain way or do a certain thing so you can feel a certain way and have a certain thing,
Yep.
right? So you're trying to manipulate, get a certain outcome through controlling him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's out of bounds. Do you know the only control scripturally that God empowers us to have is called self-control. It's one of the fruit of the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
One of the fruit of the spirit is God comes by his grace and empowers us to control. The only thing we have control over is ourselves. I call it self-mastery. Some call it self-control. I call it self-mastery. The ability to master one's self, one's own thoughts, one's own choices, one's own behaviors. That's all I got control over. Not even your children. You know, there's even a child doesn't want to be controlled. They'll always be trying to yank you. They don't want to be controlled,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's something about human beings that will always resist being controlled, but they'll let you love them all day long.
Yeah.
And if you love them well, they'll come under your influence. And your voice will always carry extreme weight in their lives because your love has become irresistible. But it's that control, right? And so that's what makes marriage hard. When people say marriage is just hard, I think really what makes it hard is that we're trying to control the uncontrollable. And that's the other person.
Mm.
What if we just gave up? We just surrendered that. And then focus all of our energy and our efforts on what is with the only thing that we can't control is ourselves. And begin focusing all of that energy, that effort in how we show up. And it still takes the fruit, it takes the power of God to master yourself. That's all you got control over, right? And then, you know, it's you're gonna be struggling with you. Not your spouse, right? All the work, you'll start understanding all the work to be done is work with the self. And then as you begin to grow, the atmosphere that you carry begins to change. And that atmosphere will begin to invite and create just an atmosphere in your home of peace and love and connection and growth, even in difficult moments,
I
right?
have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like, and this is just concerning me, I can't speak for anyone else. I feel like a part of my problem is because I've never surrendered my past over to the Lord.
Okay.
Do you think, since we're just being candid, do
Yeah.
you think that impacts my ability to surrender my marriage to the Lord?
What do you think?
As we're talking and we're sitting here, I'm just thinking about all of the things I've experienced as a child and as a teenager, and having to take care of myself and experiencing abuse in certain areas in my life, and never from my husband. But, just being mishandled by men in my life, and just all the things, like we're sitting here and my brain is like, and I always say, like, Lord, I know my ministry is this and that, and I've given it to you. But I think listening to all of this, I don't think I have given it to God. And I think that because I have probably not forgiven certain people for certain things, and not really surrendered those things to the Lord. I think what has been revealed to me tonight is, as we're sitting here, I probably put more expectation on my husband
Mm.
to um I'm trying not to get emotional, but trying to, I think I put my husband in a place to make me feel better
Yeah.
because I've been hurt before and
Yeah.
they've never fixed it. So now you need to come in and be everything that they were
Wow.
not.
Wow.
And you need to make me feel like no matter how I treat you, that you're going to treat me right. Even if I don't show up for you, you better show up for me.
Wow.
And that is really what I feel the Lord is revealing to me as we're sitting here. Um, and I'm just like, okay, that makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
It makes sense. It makes me think about the orphan spirit and how I'm putting all of this on this man. Now it doesn't, I'm not going to justify what has happened in our marriage, but I think that I have put a lot of responsibility onto him
Absolutely.
to fix things that he didn't break.
Wow. To fix things also that only God can fix.
That if I surrender to God and I begin to work on that fruit of the spirit that work on me, God will handle this for me. He'll handle it for all of us, but we got to surrender it to him,
Yes.
and yeah,
Wow.
that literally just downloaded to me. And I'm like, okay, God, I hear you.
It sounds like to me the healing journey that you're really on, it's not just the healing journey. It's much deeper than you think.
Yeah, I
It just
think so.
happened in your marriage. It goes
Yeah.
much further than that. So there's
Mhm.
a healing journey for sure. But at surface level, it seems like it's from whatever happened with your marriage that hurt you.
Mhm.
Clearly, it's much deeper than that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I
so
think so.
your husband off the hook some now, understanding that it's not just him
Mhm.
caused you pain. It was
Mhm.
him. You see, and we get to the root of that. And there's space for that. I don't know if you've thought about therapy or anything like that. I've got a great recommendation. You'll get to know her through. I'm sorry, you guys. My light kind of went out because I got to use this to my. I don't want my what's this thing called laptop to go out. Okay, y'all, you guys. Let's see. We really need to wind up, but
Okay.
this I would, if we'll see next. I think we planned another session on the 28th. And hopefully Nikki Fleming, who is my dear friend, and she is a world class. I've just never met a better therapist than her. I don't know a whole bunch of them, but
Mhm.
so powerful at what she does and cares so much, particularly about wives. Family and wifedom are her domain.
Mhm.
And so hopefully she's trying, I hope if she would love to do it, but she's just checking her schedule out. But hopefully she'll be in the group next week and I'm not a therapist, I don't try to be one. But there's certainly a lot of healing I hear. But I salute you that you are taking ownership of this thing. You know what I'm saying? And you are, sounds like to me, taking all the steps as they come to you. Um, to to take a healing journey. Most people are not courageous enough to take a healing journey. They want to camp out in the bitterness.
Yeah. I
You know,
want this marriage, I want
want the
to,
marriage. But it's not just about the
yeah.
marriage, as I'm saying, Tanisha. It's not just the marriage. It's greater than the marriage.
Mhm.
This is about you, your life, your health, your destiny, not just staying married.
Mhm.
What my goal is in life. This sounds so, I should be more ambitious. I always say to myself, I don't think I'm ambitious enough. My greatest goal in life is I want to grow old and sweet because I have seen so many people grow old and bitter.
Mhm. Yeah.
Grow old and bitter because of unresolved pain and issues and regrets. And by the end of their life, they're just sitting in bitterness.
And I don't want to be her. I won't be her.
You don't have to be her. You're
Mm-mm.
gonna have to do the work. You're gonna have to start this because it's impossible for life not to touch all of us in some negative way. And so we've got to do the work of healing. And we also have to do the work of personal happiness. because happiness is deeply personal. And I
Amen.
refuse to give any other human the responsibility for my happiness. I'm giving you way too much power. I will not do it. And so that's deeply personal for me, right? My healing is personal. My happiness is personal. I can no other person can do it. My husband, he wants me to be happy, but he don't have a clue what makes me. He don't have a clue. He don't even know what make him happy. He don't even know he ain't got it figured himself out. How you gonna figure me out? Oh God, that's a deeply personal issue. He can support my happiness. He can't make me happy. And vice versa with you and your spouse. I can support my husband in his pursuit of happiness, which I do. He can support my pursuit of happiness and personal success, which he does. But those things are very important because without them, you'll come to the end of your life and you will be bitter. And most bitter people are also unhealthy people. It manifests in sicknesses, disease, brittle bones, all the things, right? And so I've just decided because I have seen how unattractive old and bitter is, I've just decided my goal is to grow. Can't help but grow old. I want to get very old. Now I want to be old and look like I'm 25 and be on the cover of Time magazine, 100, look like I'm 50. I don't care about none of that. But I want to be old and sweet as sugar because God has been so good to me. There's
I
no
love that.
regrets. I've done everything I set out to do. I've gone everywhere I wanted to go, achieve whatever it was I felt like I wanted to achieve, holding no aught grudge against any human on the planet. And so I'm just old and sweet, encouraging other people. That's literally my vision for my life, to grow old and sweet because I have seen, whew,
Mm.
old and bitter, and I don't want any part of it. No bitterness like an old bitterness. You just project that mess all over everybody else. It's ugly. I don't want any
I've
part.
seen it. I've seen it in my family. I've seen it.
It's just bitterness. It comes out as projections and criticism and harshness and blah, 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 all that old stuff, but it's bitterness. They're just bitter. What they didn't do, didn't heal, didn't whatever it is, right? They didn't experience. But what they didn't do was take the journey. They weren't courageous enough to do the work. Take the journey, take the risk. Face the devils, their own, not somebody else's, their own.
Mhm.
Forgive, release, pursue. It's all risky. There's no guarantee it's going to get returned to you. It's a risky venture. It's a risky venture. So that's what I'm saying to you. I hope that you see what I'm saying, Tanisha, that
Mhm.
the healing is, yes, some things happened in your marriage, but that is a part of a deeper issue, right?
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
Deeper issue. So go for total healing, not just the marriage, but for you, Tanisha. That's where the healing needs to happen for your whole life that you've experienced up to this point. Okay.
Yes.
Infidelity, could have manifested as a fruit of healing that needed to happen.
Mhm.
That makes any sense. I'm saying infidelity. I don't even know if that's what it was. That's just
Yeah.
what I.
Yeah.
But forgive me if I've said too much. You never said.
No, but you're absolutely correct.
I'm just saying what I was hearing.
You're speaking about the spirit, and you're
Yeah,
absolutely correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's just what I was hearing.
You know,
Infidelity.
that's what I told you. That's what I'm here for. I
Okay.
know.
Forgive me,
Yeah.
because I shouldn't have said that.
No,
You didn't say that.
but
I said
I'm being 100% open,
Okay.
honest, and transparent. If I didn't want to talk about it, I would never have
Yes,
said
ma'am.
anything about it. So you're fine.
And everybody, this is a sacred space here. So Okay.
And I know that, and I'm going to say this, that is why I signed up for Pillows and Prayers, and I'll be there Saturday
Good.
because I have been seeking the Lord and I know what I need,
Mm.
and I'm just going for it,
Oh,
So I'm very grateful. I'll be there,
good.
um, barefaced, ready to see what the Lord is going to do because I know He's got something great for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
great. Well, I want to give you guys some homework because it's 9 on East Coast time.
Okay.
Homework, and I like this home pun intended because this is what it has to do with your inner sanctum, which is home. We're going to do 7 days of intentional presence. Okay, so each day you have to intentionally practice one of these things. A warm greeting. That's the greatest thing you can do to honor somebody when they walk in the room, is to greet them, right? Just to say, hey,
Mhm.
you know, a warm greeting. Okay.
Mhm.
What can you do as the woman of the house to create a peaceful atmosphere? So that's one of them. So a warm greeting, creating a peaceful atmosphere for you and your spouse. Maybe that's putting on some music. Maybe that's lighting some candles. It's one of the things my husband and I practice in our empty nest life. He loves it. I
Mhm.
started practicing it. Now I notice he lights candles now in the evening. But he does it because I started it, but he clearly likes it, right? Because I'll come home,
Right.
it's got candles lit, right? So whatever that looks like for you, what can you do to initiate a meaningful conversation? So that's one thing you can do, initiate a meaningful conversation. How was your day? Do you remember when we went to so and so and how much fun that was? I think about that often. I'm just giving examples, but you know how to
Mhm.
initiate meaningful conversation. Remove distractions during your connection time. So if you all go out to dinner or go out to lunch, what if you don't take your phone out,
Mhm.
or remove whatever the distraction is? Affirm intentionally. That means say something affirming intentionally. You look great today. Is that a new scent? You smell good. Whatever. Listen without correcting.
Ooh, that's tough.
Mm, I know.
Praise God.
Yeah, it is. Listen without correcting. Um, Become aware of your emotional tone. So this week, so don't just become aware of how you say what you say. Not what you say, but how did you say it? Another one, um, pray before entering the home, right? Particularly if I know some people are you and you're in some sensitive spots in your marriage right now. You're just in a sensitive spot. And it could be that you just need to say a prayer before you go in. Okay? Smile more. Oh, my husband loves it when I smile. That's one of the things I teach in one of those wife classes. I teach it about smiling. Did you know when you smile, it makes your husband feel successful?
Mm.
I guess they're just so egotistical. I don't know. I'm just joking. But I have found that when you smile, it makes them feel successful because they feel like they're doing a good job with you. When you walk around sad and frowning all the time, it makes them feel like they just are not doing a good job with you. It deflates them, right? But when you smile, right? You look happy, you look good. It makes them look good. Makes them feel good because they feel like they doing a good job with you, right? At least people gonna think they're doing a good job with you. So just smile. And plus, everybody is prettier when they smile. And then this week, soften your delivery. So for those are just some ideas or some things that you can do this week. 7 days of intentional presence. So each day you must intentionally practice one of the following. Just one. And some days maybe all you can muster up is one. I smile today. That's all I got for you. Right? Whatever.
Mhm.
Okay. So you don't have to do all of them every day for 7 days, but just choose one from that list every day and intentionally. The whole thing is intentional. It may feel weird,
Mhm.
it may feel uncomfortable starting out, especially if you've been practicing the opposite. It's maybe not even feel natural, right? You don't have to feel natural. You're learning something new. We're doing something new, right? So just practice it with intention. And then when you do it, just make a note of, maybe you can even jot it down because I would love to talk about it. What changed when I changed the atmosphere I carried? So, what changed? In fact, it would be great. It would help build up, the school platform. If you could even just drop it, in on the platform. I think there's like a section that says wins and testimonies in there. Just let us know what happened.
Okay.
It'll encourage the other women who are signing up, and as they go in there and they see positive things happening, it just encourages them to jump in. Okay,
Okay.
right? Y'all got it?
Got it.
Okay. So last question I'm going to ask you. Of course, we want this group to grow. My goal is to get, to have 100 women involved in this community. If I could positively impact in this community, 100 women. That's my goal. I think we're at 16 women right now. Um, who do you know? Is there a woman who they should have been a part of this conversation?
I did get one person to join. She joined today, Janelle Stitt, but she didn't join the call. But
Oh, okay.
Janelle did
We'll post the
join.
video. Okay, we'll put the
Yep.
video in there.
Yep.
All right, great, great. Okay.
But I have a few more people. I have about two more friends that I'm working on.
Okay, great. Great.
Yeah.
And how it works is I will drop a link in there. All you gotta do is just send them that link. And I'll send the link where they can actually go to the page about Wife Class Inner Circle, read about it, and join. They get 7 days for free, right? Before, they're charged at $25 a month. So you get 7 days for free. So what I usually do is promote the wife class um like right before I know we're going to have a live coaching session so they can get the coaching for free and then hope that they'll stay, right? But so that's generally how it works, but they can do 7 days for free. And when they get in, they have immediate access to Wife Class 101 if they're single, Wife Class for single women, and all the content that's in there. While they're washing dishes, driving their car, or whatever, they can just look at Wife Class 101, and it's a difference maker, right? Because there's a lot of women that are struggling, kind of holding on by a thread. And oftentimes the scripture says we're perishing because of what we don't know. And so I don't underestimate the power of knowledge and wisdom. And sometimes it can come right on time for some woman and keep somebody's home from falling apart, right? Right. Okay. All right. You guys, I'm going to say a word of prayer. And we'll close out for tonight and we'll put this. I am recording. Last week I messed something up and didn't record, but this week this is recorded. And so it'll be on the platform. I'll pray for everyone. Father, we thank you so much. We come in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, and I thank you for this just sacred space and time that we've had together. Thank you for the wisdom that has been shared. Father, I just thank you for every woman in the house, the man she represents, the children she represents, the household she represents, and the destiny that she represents, Father. Lord God, I just cover all of us, every one of us, in the blood of the Lord Jesus Christ. And I declare the victory over her heart. I declare the victory over her husband. I declare the victory over her household now. I call forth peace and joy, even wisdom, greater wisdom beyond what I have shared tonight. I declare, Lord, that the wisdom, you will continue to speak to her. And this wisdom and the voice of truth will begin to grow and expand and set her free in profound ways, Father. I just thank you for the healing.